Welcome. Welcome to Hamar and to the Nordic VR Forum, which now returns for the 4th year in a row. Last year we gathered close to 350 people from 15 nations. Because of the pandemic situation, we decided to reimagine our conference as a mainly digital event with the goal to offer the best possible digital experience. To make this happen, the conference is being held on the Unvent digital platform, which will provide live streaming and presentations, as well as networking, one-on-one communications, and separate area for virtual project presentations. We have managed to create a high-quality program with top-class speakers, which we hope you will enjoy and, of course, benefit from. At the Nordic VR Forum, everything revolves around immersive learning technologies. More precisely, the use of virtual and augmented reality, VR and AR, in healthcare, learning, training, and storytelling. The main purpose of the forum is to present the development, possibilities, results that are already out there, but also future visions of VR and AR technologies based on actual used cases. At day 1 of the forum, as yesterday, we kicked off with a full day dedicated to the topic VR in healthcare. We would like to use the opportunity to thank Sykehuset Innlandet and Helse Inn, our co-organizers, for the VR in Healthcare Day. Today, the main day, is all about VR in learning and training, storytelling and technical development. And tomorrow, there is a possibility for you to meet up with companies and potential partners in Park Business and Entrepreneur House here in Hamar. But most of you are joining us digitally. Several hundreds have registered, but we have some physical visitors in the audience as well. Welcome to you all. But you guys remember to keep the distance 1 meter and wash your hands. Use your very own Nordic VR Forum mask if you like, it suits almost everybody. You may join the conference in the Unvent tool through your mobile or computer, and the presentations will be available afterwards as well through Unvent. Make sure to visit our digital booths where you may reach out to people, ask questions, download material and so on. Questions to the presenters and others may be asked in the video wall, the live wall, or by contacting people directly through the networking section in the Unvent platform. Several of the speakers will be present on the platform in the following break after their talk, and you may ask them questions directly at any time. It's almost like we are all here. Almost. So, after this massive introduction, it's time to begin. And we begin in Norway. Where is Norway headed towards digitalization? What do this nation's politicians think is important? To talk about government perspectives on digitalizations and new technologies, here is the Norwegian Minister of Regional Development and Digitalization, Linda Helleland.
Hello, and thank you for the invitation to speak to you today. I appreciate that Nordic VR Forum brings people together across disciplines and that you work together on how new technology can make our healthcare and welfare system better. The coming years, we will experience demographic changes and we will transition from an oil-dependent economy. To succeed, we need both private and public sector to manage our resources more efficiently. But simply, we must get smarter. Our goal is that by 2030, more elderly people will have the chance to live longer in their homes, even if they have an illness. This will require new technologies. Digital services will enable monitoring of more patients at home while saving care homes and other resources for other patients. I am sure this will make life more comfortable for a lot of people. We hope to see more welfare technologies like that. Digitalization is our most important tool for increasing both productivity and welfare. In fact, half of the productivity gains in recent years is due to digitalization. In the future, public and private sector must work together in new ways and with new tools. Our policy agenda is the Norwegian Digital Strategy for Public Sector. This strategy has a time span from 2019 to 2025 and applies to sectors in both local and central government. The goal is user-friendly digital services, both for people and businesses. Our focus is on creating seamless digital services based on people's life events. For instance, living with an illness or establishing a business. This is not something public sector can achieve alone. When we define a problem to solve, new ideas and solutions often come from private companies. And that's why working together is crucial. Therefore, our strategy emphasizes the importance of both sectors working together. Better public digital services will lead to increased efficiency and more innovation. This will also strengthen Norwegian competitiveness internationally. New technology is based on data and generates data. To achieve many of our goals, we need to make better use of data as a resource. Right now, we are working on a white paper on data-driven economy and innovation. The white paper focuses on how the emergence of data is an asset, both for the public sector and the Norwegian industry. We need more expertise in data sharing. We must understand the connection between data as a resource, law and technology. But simply, we need to trust data. That's why we recently opened the National Resource Center for Data Sharing. This will be a learning environment for the entire public sector and for businesses who collaborate with public sector on data sharing. Digitalization affects both citizens, the business community and public sector. Digital competence will become increasingly important in the years to come. That's why we found Norwegian municipalities for linking businesses in the districts with universities. The goal is to make businesses outside the big cities more attractive to candidates after graduation. In our recent government white paper on innovation in the public sector, we point out 3 important principles for promoting innovation in the public sector. Firstly, politicians and public authorities must provide room for development and incentives to innovate. Secondly, leaders must develop a culture for innovation where employees dare to think differently and where there is space to fail and learn from both mistakes and successes. In addition, public service providers must seek new forms of cooperation within the public sectors and with private sector's companies. There is no doubt your conference today checks off all points. I am very pleased to see how you bring different sectors and communities together. Environments such as yours will create new jobs, educate on digitalization and provide easier and better access to health services. I wish you the best of luck with today's conference and hope you find inspiration and ideas that will bring us all forward. Thank you for your attention.
So, now we all know where Norway is headed. Thank you very much, Linda. How can a meeting be held if someone has to call in sick or misses the bus or the company can't afford the traveling costs? Pre-COVID-19 this was a big question, but now even my mom can operate 3 different digital platforms for communication. If I was to teach her that a year ago, it would take me several weeks. Imagine a business with hundreds or thousands of employers having to learn the digital skills. It would take years. Thanks to COVID, which is a sentence that isn't said much, we all had to learn to communicate digitally overnight. We just had to change. How has this affected the video conference industry? The next speaker is the CEO of Corporate Spring, author, and previously worked in the video conference industry in Tandberg and Cisco. She is now inspiring people to change and will talk about culture and leadership in the new world of work. Welcome, Anniken Day.
Thank you so much, Truls. And hello, everyone. I am thrilled to be here with you today at the Nordic VR Forum 2020. Today, I will be speaking about something that is very close to my heart and that I've actually been working with for the last 20 years, and that is culture and leadership. And I will be talking about that in the context of the new world of work. So I thought I'm going to start out with taking a 10,000 foot perspective of what's going on in the work world and how it is affecting people and leadership and organizations. And then I will give you 3 powerful business strategies that will help you not only handle the changes, but also to thrive in the new world of work. So let's start out with having a look at the 4 transformational forces that have changed the way we work. Globalization, digitization, demographic changes, and COVID-19. And we could say that COVID-19 actually has put the other ones, at least digitization, on speed lately. And with this new world of work, some new skills are required. And World Economic Forum has actually defined what 10 skills that are critical in the new world of work, with complex problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity on top, but also things like people leadership and emotional intelligence stated as very, very important in order to succeed in the new world of work. And we're also seeing how organizations need to up their games and change their ways in order to stay competitive in this new landscape. So companies around the world are trying to organize and work in ways that are more agile, fast, flexible, creative, diverse, remote and hybrid, which a lot of organizations are finding themselves in right now. And also, organizations are realizing they need to become more human. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that in a little while. But first, let's have a look and see of how changing times also had changed the roles and the skills of the leaders. So in the good old days, or I don't know if they were good, let's say 30, 40 years ago, the leaders were typically the boss, giving orders, commanding and controlling people. And that obviously won't work in the new world of work, even though I do know there are some leaders who still try to do that. And needless to say, they're not very effective. But this is kind of described as industrial age leadership style. But the last 10 to 15 years, we have seen a shift that leaders understand that their job is to lead change, build trust, collaborate, and engage. And now we are actually seeing that leaders need to up their games even more and learn how to lead in uncertainty, handle complexity, inspire and empower their people, and also how they can lead remotely. And just to give you an example of how the work world not necessarily have quite embraced these new ways of leading yet, or not quite embraced the human aspect of their business. Forbes Inside Office did a research where they asked the 2,000 biggest companies in the world how successful they were with a company with a digital transformation. So the results of that research was that 20% of those companies said that they had been successful, and 80% said they had not been successful. But of those 80%, actually 50% told that this had been an epic failure. And on the questions of why they think they failed, a lot of companies, or most of them, they blame technology, infrastructure, internal processes, and project management. But research showed that the reason why they actually failed was that they hadn't been able to change human behaviors. So they were implementing a lot of technologies, but they were not inspiring, helping, making sure that people actually embrace this new technology. So it was not the lack of technology, but it was lack of using that made them feel that they had failed with their digitalization. Digital is 10% tech and 90% human, but organizations talk about digital as if it's 90% tech and 10% human, Lucia Adams from the Times said. And usually when I show this, people nod, and I can't really see you nodding right now, but I think you might, because I think this is something everyone recognizes. And there is a new awakening around that now, because obviously it hasn't quite worked as organizations planned, and then they have to look at what is the reason, and learning to pay more attention to the human side is a new insight many organizations now are embracing. So with that, I would like now to share those 3 powerful business strategies with you that not only will help you handle changes, but also thrive in the new world of work. And that is humane leadership, conscious cultures, and high-performing team cultures. So let's dive into humane leadership. So many leaders have thought that being a leader, then you have to kind of play a role. You have to have it all figured out. You have to be the boss. You have to kind of be decisive and play this managerial role. But the fact is that that way of leading is not very effective anymore, if it ever was. So on a research, both from World Economic Forum, Accenture, McKinsey, they have been defining what kind of attributes are most effective in the new world of work. And as you will see, that is not necessarily the kind of attributes that has been taught in business schools, or maybe not either you have seen with leaders in the past. And that is to be self-aware, authentic, flexible, caring, curious, honest, vulnerable, and brave. In other words, it is about being human. So leaders who embrace their humanness are able to build more trusting organizations and create results, not because they are there to commanding, controlling them, but because they are letting people thrive in this new world of work. And Gallup has studied all these variables that influence culture, productivity, and well-being, especially in this situation now when people are moving towards hybrid and remote work. And the findings, no matter what kind of angle they took on the research, they found that there was one role and one role only that stood out, that really influenced how successful people were in transitioning to remote work. And that was the role of the leader. So leadership is more important than ever. And for leaders who understand that great responsibility they have to get the best out of their people and not control them are the ones who are most successful. So I spoke with a leader here the other day, and I showed him some of the data that I just showed with you. And then he said, Anniken, now give me something to give me an Excel sheet, give me a program, give me something I can touch and measure and understand. But please, please, please don't tell me also that I have to be human. And he was saying it jokingly, of course, but there was a little piece of truth in there, because there's a lot of leaders now that feel a bit uncomfortable with suddenly having to show up more vulnerable, show more up as themselves. But the thing is, when we don't know exactly what is happening, and there's been so many changes recently, and the changes will not stop, if you think you pretend you're in control, there is no way you are in control, and people won't trust that. It's much more authentic saying that, I don't know, I have no idea, but hey guys, let's figure out this together. So being more human is to be more open, honest, and vulnerable. And it is a brave thing to do, but it's also the right and the most effective thing to do in the new world of work. Because the fact is that you will never have as much power as when you give your power away. When you stop thinking that you have to be in control, or that you, the only one, is responsible. When you stop having that kind of mindset and start letting go of control, you will see people stepping up in a new way. They will take initiative, they will thrive, and they will excel in their jobs, not because you tell them to do that, but because they really, really want to do that. So finding your humanness and showing up as a more humane leader is a really, really powerful and effective thing to do in the new world of work. The second powerful business strategy in the new world of work is conscious culture. So there's been a lot of talk about culture lately. It's kind of a buzzword, and people sometimes refer to it as foosball tables and cookies in a jar and Friday beer. And that is not culture. That is nice perks, but it's not culture. Culture is basically how you show up every day. It's what you do. It's how you do it, how you solve problems, how you build products, how you collaborate, how you speak to each other, how you treat your customers. It's all those things that you do that becomes your culture. And there's basically 2 ways to approach your culture. You could either do it consciously, which is about looking at where you're at, looking at where you need to go, looking at what kind of culture you need to have and build in order to get there. And then look at the culture you have and say, okay, what are the things we need to reinforce and do more of? What are the things we might adjust or do less of, or maybe change entirely? And then together be aware and deliberate about how you all show up every day. That is to build conscious cultures. The other way of approaching culture, that is to do it unconsciously, which is basically doing nothing and just letting the culture happen by chance. And strangely enough, this is the approach most companies are taking. So if you're serious about building culture, one thing is to engage your team in that discussions of where you're at and where you need to go. But it also to start talking about what it is that unifies you. What are the values that you share? Because the values that you share will form the way you think, your mindsets. And your mindsets will form your behaviors. And your behaviors will ultimately become your culture. So being aware of who you are, what you believe in, how you show up, that is how you can start shaping the kind of culture that you need. And it's also about how you communicate and collaborate on a day-to-day basis. So I do hear a lot of people talking now and saying that, in this remote work, it's really hard. The culture is struggling and we're not able to communicate, collaborate, and this is not working. Well, the thing is, that hasn't to do with whether you're remote or not, technology or not. It has to do with mindsets and what you do and what you prioritize. Because I've seen people working, in the same office or in the same sofa, but working so individualistic that 1 + 1 + 1, just get 3. It's just like the result is just the sum of its parts. But other teams that have been working like all around the world, only seeing each other remotely or on video or however they are communicating, they are actually like real teams because it is about how often you communicate, the way you communicate and collaborate. It is not about where you physically are. So I think this is a mindset that a lot of people have, that you can't really have a strong communication and collaboration culture when you are remotely. But I know that is not the case. And I've seen it again and again. And I think if you are deliberate about creating that kind of culture, you will be able to make that happen, even if people are not physically in the office. Peter Drucker, the management guru, said already back in the 1960s that culture is strategy for breakfast. So we cannot plan, we can't predict, we can't decide what the future is going to look like, but we can create the kind of cultures that will handle whatever may come. So creating a conscious culture, that is the second powerful strategy for high-performing teams in the new world of work. Which leads us to the third one, which is the high-performing team cultures model. And I'm just very quickly going to take you through this one. But I want to say that working with this model, working with these building blocks is really a powerful way to create the kind of cultures that are not only happy and thriving in their jobs, but are also performing way, way better than those who are not paying attention to these elements. So if you think about Maslow's hierarchies of needs, it's a little bit of the same, that at the bottom, you have purpose and identity and trust, which are fundamental for teams to operate and function and co-create and create the kind of culture that is able to deliver great performance in spite of change. Then you have growth mindsets, which is all about the way we think and how we handle situations, especially now in changing times. It's important to pay attention to that. Do we look for problems? Do we look for solutions? Where do we put our minds? Are we afraid of change? Are we open for change, even though it's scary? So talking about the mindsets, and then ultimately getting the team to a place of passion and joy. And I don't know about you, but I've been working in companies and I've seen lots of companies where have that level of energy that you just come in there and just like feel it and you want to be part of it. And you're attracted to work with them and work for them or do business with them. And it is about that drive and that energy that unleashes when a team come together and they truly have a purpose. They have a strong sense of identity. They're trusting each other. They're focusing on the right things. And the passion and joy to a large extent becomes the consequence. But this doesn't happen in a vacuum. So it's also a lot about how the leaders lead and how the teams collaborate and communicate. But being deliberate, being aware of the power of how this all plays together. That is, I think, one of the most powerful business strategy you possibly can have to have a team that will thrive in this new world of work. And the benefits of doing that are many. for team members, research shows that people who work in joyful, passionate cultures, they feel 74% less stressed, 40% less burned out, and they are 29% happier with their lives. And when you look at the organizations, they can actually show for more creativity and innovation, up to 50% better performance, and 21% higher profitability. So there's really no reason not to invest in people, invest in the culture, and spend time on creating these kind of organizations. So to round it up, I also want to say that this is kind of overwhelming, and I've been saying a lot of things in a very short time. But that being said, the most important thing, I think, is to realize that even though we are living in changing times, even though things are challenging, this is also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow yourself, to grow your team, to even grow your business results, just by not looking at this as a problem or an obstacle, but actually as an opportunity. And even though it's kind of scary and kind of hard, that's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be challenged. It's okay to not know how to do things, because we're all in this together. No one has been here before. Not in this situation we are with COVID-19, and not with in the new world of work. We are co-creating this together. And I don't know about you, but I am a big fan of butterflies, and I love the butterfly effect, which basically talks about how small changes can have profound impacts. And as a leader, that is more important than anything else, to understand that what you do, how you show up, how you speak, how you talk, how you treat people, it doesn't only influence that one person or that one situation. It has an impact way beyond what you can see, because the shadow of the leader is long and the butterfly effect is real. So I just want to encourage you that even though this might sound overwhelming, there's a lot of things you can do, just start doing something, just a little thing, just a little shift to move towards a way of working, a way of leading, a way of organizing, a way of communicating and collaborating that will be more effective, more engaging, inspiring, and lead to much better results. And you will thrive in this new world of work. So with that, I will say thank you so much for your time. It has been a pleasure, and I want to wish you all the best of luck, and also that you will have a fabulous rest of the day. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Don't forget that if you have any questions, either to the two speakers or to the forum in general, do this in the video wall, the live wall, or by contacting people directly through the networking section in the Onment platform. If you are watching this in the future, this is unfortunately not possible, because not everything is possible in the future. But what is possible in the future, especially regarding VR and AR and artificial intelligence? The next speaker has a lot of answers to this, and to introduce him properly, I would have to use at least 30 minutes. So, to make it short, he is the founder and president of the VR AR Association and the VR AR Global Summit. He is the commercial AR VR lead at Lenovo, a company with over 50,000 employees and $43 billion in global sales, serving customers in over 180 markets. Nathan speaks frequently on the subjects of augmented reality, virtual reality, mobile platforms, and commerce, and has been featured on CNBC, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Times, US Today, Bloomberg, and TechCrunch, and now here at the Nordic Forum. Enjoy! Here is Nathan Pettyjohn.
Hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today talking to you about how VR and AR are transforming our world, both as consumers and in our workplace. Today, I'm representing Lenovo and the VR AR Association. I'm the commercial AR VR lead at Lenovo, where I manage our global go-to-market strategy for augmented reality and virtual reality. And that covers our software, our hardware, and services. So this experience has really given me a great lens into the enterprise AR and VR ecosystem. But I'm also the founder and president of the VR AR Association, which has grown to be the largest global trade group for VR and AR technologies. There are about 70 chapters around the world with about 25 industry committees and over 1,000 companies that are members, which span from large corporations to mid-sized startups to consulting firms to universities and institutions and individuals. And so this has given me a really good lens into both the enterprise and consumer ecosystems. And it's a great place to grow, learn, and connect with some of the best minds and thought leaders around the world. So I encourage you, if you're not a part of it, find a way to be a part of it somehow. But I wanted to start off with a little story. A few years ago, when Pokemon Go hit the market, there was a craze around that game. Well, one day I was sitting in my living room and my wife entered the room and she said, "Hey, there's a rare Pokemon a half mile away. We have to go." My kids came into the room. They said, "We have to go. Come on, Dad." So I've been relegated to driving my family around to the Pokemon Go hotspots. Now, I bring this up because this has been one of the most successful mobile games of our time, but it's also opened up the opportunity of augmented reality to the world in a vast way. And Niantic, the company who makes Pokemon Go, has been trailblazing in a lot of the technologies, very sophisticated neural network type of technologies, for example, that can perform occlusion. And that makes augmented reality seem more real, more immersive. And it helps it to become an everyday piece of our lives, both as consumers in gaming and media, entertainment, but also in the workplace. So let's watch a quick video of how Niantic has done this with their occlusion technology. So what a fun way to showcase how this sophisticated technology is making augmented reality more believable and more a part of our everyday lives. That video was actually from about 1.5 years ago, and the technology has just started to make it officially into the gaming environment. So it'll be exciting to play that throughout the continued months and years with my family as well. But let's talk about why XR now. And really, I think we have to look at it in the lens that it's not really just AR that's coming of age or VR coming of age. It's really the whole industry. And so as we talk about some of these key components, one of these is that the 3D data standards are just becoming more and more commonplace. Companies are creating standards for 3D file formats and authoring programs to make it really easy as PDFs or JPEGs or PNGs to create, share, and view 3D files. We also have to look at hardware innovation. There are new powerful GPU hardware, even custom visual processing units and holographic processing units that are specializing in processing 3D data for next-gen devices. If we look at AI and IoT research, there's incredible advancements that have been made in AI research that have essentially commoditized computer vision that can help create and deliver realistic XR experiences. Then as we look at personal devices, mobile devices are benefiting from simple 3D file standards, hardware innovations, and computer vision to become our first mass market XR devices. Another key component is the cloud and 5G networks. Cloud computing makes our devices smarter and can even process and render XR data for our devices with 5G network speeds. improving the experience overall. And then, of course, we have the COVID-19 impact. And that impact has really started to accelerate this digital transformation, both in our workplace and as consumers. So looking at like what to expect over the next few years. Well, if we look at kind of the market trends, according to Artillery Intelligence, which is a respected analyst firm that really tracks the AR and VR market across all sectors, they have one of the more conservative estimates. With that, even though, there's roughly a $10 billion market today that we expect to see transition into about a $42 billion market in just the next 3 years. So as you can see in these forecasts, that the consumer AR has one of the biggest market opportunities over the next 3 years, followed by enterprise AR, then consumer VR, and then enterprise VR. But let's talk about some of the key trends, both now, the near future, and 3 years out. So as we look at the last several years, consumer VR really broke the ice for enterprise use cases. I think we're all aware that when Facebook purchased Oculus for about $1 billion, that really transformed the industry. We're seeing AR and VR proving value in almost every industry. ARKit and ARCore has made AR more normal for popular applications. As we look at this year, just as mentioned a minute ago, industrial digitization is really accelerated due to the COVID-19 impact that we're all seeing at a global level. We're also seeing consumer platforms adopting more open XR files and standards. Next year, we expect to see continued democratization of AR development. A good example of this is an application called Adobe Aero. It makes it extremely easy to even just pull out your mobile phone, create an AR experience, and off you go. Barriers to entry for AR are going to continue to accelerate, to be removed. Essentially, like the camera, AI, and even LiDAR technologies that we've seen in the new Apple iPhone 12 Pro. These are creating like incredible AR experiences. We're also going to see 5G rollouts really start to impact the consumer experience as well as enterprise campus networks. And then we'll also see in the next year AR becoming more mixed with mainstream media. We've already heard from Apple TV Plus that they're integrating certain TV shows where we'll be able to interact with our mobile phone and the TV show in augmented reality. I'm really looking forward to that. Then if we look at 2022, we expect that we'll see, AR will be seen more as commonplace, with Apple's hero device leading the adoption of head-worn computing. We expect Oculus, which is now Facebook Labs, and Niantic are expected to have AR glasses that are going to fuel social and gaming for always-on AR experiences. We're also seeing the AR cloud already start to emerge, but in the next couple of years, we see it really blending physical and digital worlds. Google is one of the leaders. Facebook, many others are really transforming this ecosystem. And then in 2023, we really expect that we're going to see mobile devices make up about 60% of the total AR usage, and AR glasses are expected to actually reach about 4 million devices by 2023, according to ABI research. So let's dive into some of these interesting use cases. If we look at consumer AR use cases, Snapchat is a great example of how they were able to really increase conversion by 25% working with Papa John's. Papa John's, if you don't know, is one of the largest pizza delivery companies in the United States. And they had a very successful Valentine's Day Snapchat Lens campaign that was meant to promote its festive heart-shaped pizza in the US markets. The front-facing camera activation let users play with heart-themed AR animations. I think what's key though here is the benefits. There was a 25% conversion rate of Lens viewers who actually ordered pizza. And they found that 60% of Lens views were from unique users, along with a 6% lift in brand awareness. So let's take a quick look to just some of the enablers here. That being Snapchat's self-serve ad platform, making it easier to deploy these types of solutions. And then when you have a direct-to-consumer supply chain, that also really helps with those conversion rates. Let's take a quick look at this video that explains how this campaign rolled out.
What we loved about partnering with Snapchat for this Valentine's Day experience was that we took the concept of Valentines and exchanging Valentines that we all remember doing when we were a kid, and we made it better by making it accessible on a fantastic interactive platform. You could snap a code from our box topper and get pulled into a great experience. Or if you were a Snapchat user, you could just discover and play with our experience. And in both cases, we got fantastic engagement.
We know that Snapchat has an unduplicated audience that we can't reach on other platforms. And that was a primary reason that we chose to work with the team.
There was definitely an enthusiasm and an engagement that we were able to achieve using Snapchat that surprised, I think, even us.
Our campaign for Valentine's Day with Snap was able to bring in a 6-point lift of ad awareness with our customers. And that's not something that we typically see, so we were very excited about that KPI.
It was a moment that everybody could come together, and they did it through our lens with Snapchat.
So that was a great example of these of a consumer AR use case. Let's dive into a few more consumer AR use cases. One of those being the e-commerce and product visualization ecosystem. There's a company called Shopify that's making it really easy for its merchants to upload 3D product files in order to offer shoppers the ability to see them in AR before they buy. What's key here, though, is the benefits. These companies are seeing a 2x boost in conversions when AR is used for product visualization, and 13% average order value lift when AR is used by consumers to see before buying. Now, let's take a look at social AR and product try-on. As part of Gucci's Snapchat programs, shoppers could select from 4 pairs of shoes with 2 different lenses or filters. Now, what's interesting about this is they could also then purchase in the application. So again, creating a direct conversion of AR into a purchase. If you look at the benefits here, Snapchat has really got an interesting opportunity for scalability. They reach at least 100 million people in the United States alone, including over 90% of 13 to 24-year-olds. And we're seeing that there's a 4x longer view time than mobile video ads, with an average dwell time of 75 seconds. Then finally, if we look at AR advertising, viral AR ad campaigns have made consumers really go out and seek and share AR content, driving greater brand spending into AR categories. And a recent survey found that 48% of people would be more likely to shop at retailers that use AR. Some of the key enablers here that are going to continue to make this more and more possible include web AR, 3D data standards, 5G rollouts, and easy to deploy AR app tools like AR Core and AR Kit. Now, let's jump into a couple of consumer VR use cases. So a really good example here is kind of the merging of media and music in virtual reality, blending famous musicians, VR immersive experiences, and even interactive fan engagement and commerce creates opportunities that you just couldn't even get in a physical world. So John Legend created this program with the Wave VR based out of Los Angeles, California, called A Night for Bigger Love. It was incredibly successful and interactive and a mesmerizing experience. If you look at some of the other benefits from this, just as the market as a whole, for example, Wave VR has received $40 million in venture funding to produce these social live events. There were also 400,000 people that attended a live event of a concert for violinist Lindsey Sterling in 2019. So we expect to see this continue to grow. Some of the key enablers include content IP distribution, volumetric capture, and increased network speeds and compression rates that are enabling all of this. Now, let's go into a few more examples of consumer VR use cases. If we look at live events, just like we just talked about, you're seeing a lot of these fans really kind of driving demand and it benefits the VR demand growth curve. We've seen a 16x demand growth for VR devices since 2018 for live events. If you look at gaming, custom virtual billboards and brand product placement is now starting to make its way into gaming and VR. In fact, Sony even has a patent for a new VR ad system for contextually aware periphery vision. If we look at kind of the benefits of this ecosystem, over 100 VR games have surpassed $1 million in revenue. There have been over 5 million Sony PSVR units sold in 2019, a big lift from the year previous. And there are now over 500 Sony PSVR game titles and growing. Then if we look at social VR, there's a new, Facebook Labs Horizon social VR world. I believe it's only in beta invite only now, but it's expected to really change the way that we interact with people in a VR world. And we should also, point out that companies are racing to launch this AR cloud, where a persistent layer of data is synchronized with the real world for users to interact. And eventually, we expect that we'll see even a blending of a VR and AR type of devices. We're already starting to see that, but we expect over the next 3 to 4 years that will actually become much more pervasive. And then when we look at the enablers, again, being content, IP distribution, motion capture, volumetric capture, and increased network speeds and compression technologies. So if we take a look at enterprise AR and VR use cases, in augmented reality, we're seeing manufacturing being one of the most dominant use case environments. Head-mounted displays allow for workers to view live instructions for complex tasks, which allow for quicker time to completion. By displaying product imagery and standard operating procedures to users, process adherence and time reduction are vastly improved. In fact, a good example of this is we've seen a 25% reduction time needed to assemble complex airplane wire assemblies and an 86% reduction in assembly line QA inspections. Logistics and inside the warehouse, workers are able to have work orders sent to their heads-up displays and are guided to the shelf and shown what to pick with seamless accuracy. Exact information is provided in real time, allowing for faster and more accurate operations. In terms of benefits, we're seeing 46% faster picking times in the warehouse, and error rates are dropping to near zero rates with regards to logistics tasks. And then within enterprise VR, corporate training is really where we're seeing a lot of value created. From oil and gas engineers to even CPG, HR resources, companies are turning to VR to deploy global learning solutions that increase knowledge retention and can report out on the performance of that. Now, some of the key enablers that need to be considered in this, and one of the areas that I'm focused on a lot in my role at Lenovo, is to be able to provide a truly turnkey solution for hardware, software, and services so that these types of solutions can scale at a global level. You also need to consider enterprise mixed reality glasses, like the example here, which is Lenovo's Think Reality A6 headset. It's also important to consider IoT and ERP integrations, and even learning management systems that can be integrated into training systems. So hopefully this has given you a good snapshot of the many ways that AR and VR are really transforming our world. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. I want to thank all of you. For more information on Lenovo or the VR AR Association, you can find more information here at the websites displayed. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Nathan's and the other presentations will be posted here on this digital platform for you to see again and again and again in the future. We are now heading towards a 30-minute break, so the toilet still has to be used in real life and no virtual coffee tastes better than real coffee. So use the next 30 minutes to loosen up, have a snack, and use the possibilities to chat with other participants, whether you are at home, at work, or live in Hamar. And of course, ask questions to the presenters if you have any. The booths are open. Please visit them and talk to different manufacturers and try out their technical products. We'll be back at 11:30. See you then.